Okay, here we go for the review of yesterday. We're on page 26 and page 27, and we're doing questions 1, 2, and then 4, 5, and 6. Okay, first of all, we need to match the ordered pair to the letter. Okay, so 1, 5, I go across 1, then I go up 5, so this should be B. The next one is I go across 5, and then I go up 1, so this one is D. Next one I go across 0 and up 7, so here we have A. Then I go across 7 and up 0, so this is C. Double check that you have not mixed those up. They were trying to fool you on that one. The next one is we are just plotting these points on a grid, so I'm just going to use the one above, but I'm going to use purple pen. Okay, so 5, 9, we go across 5. Ooh, then we go way up here to 9. Okay, so I guess this would be like 8, and then 9 would be here. And then I'm going to label it as V. The next one is not 0, 9, so we go across 0, and then we go up 9, so that would be like something up here, which would be W. The next one is 5, 7, so we go across 5, and then we go up 7, so it's going to be here, X. And the next one is we go across 8, and then we go up 0. So we go across 8, which would be right here, and then we don't go up at all. So this is that one, which would be Y. Okay, so if you did each of those correct, I guess each of these would be out of 4. Okay, we're skipping 3. If you wanted to do it though, you could. Yeah, it's just kind of following the same thing. I guess I'll do the hardest one maybe, which is this 0, because always the zeros kind of mess us up. So here we have 0, 3, so we go across 0, so we don't move at all. Plane doesn't move at all, it just blasts off here. So if you did that one, double check that you have S correct. Okay, next is Mr. Kelp's class went to the Vancouver Aquarium. Angel drew this map of the aquarium site. Okay, cool. Write the ordered pair, which is in each of the places. Okay, so first of all, we're zooming in on A. So remember, we have to put bracket. Now I saw in the seesaws that some people wrote when they're writing ordered pairs, they just put this 8, 3, for example. Okay, that's technically not the right way to write our ordered pair. You do need to put on a bracket. I also saw this. What is wrong with this? We're not allowed to use a decimal, right? Because this number looks like you've written 7 2/10. That is very different than this. Okay, so really important to make sure you have that. When we're doing a morning math and I'm asking you to list the ordered pairs, I will not mark it correct unless you have written it properly. It's kind of like the correct grammar for math. Okay, so A, we would have 8, 1. B, which is over here, we've moved across 0, but we've moved up 8. C, we have moved across 10, and we've moved up 3, so 10, 3. E, we have moved across 5 and up 2, so 5, 2. F is we are right here, so we've moved across, I think that is, 8, 9, and then S is right here, so it is 1, 8, and then H would be 8, 6. Okay, so that is out of 7. All right, next, okay, so use the map in question number 4 to get, okay, so to get to the Pacific Canadian Pavilion at point P, you move 1 square left and 3 squares up from the entrance, which is E. What are the coordinates of P? Okay, so we need to start at E. Okay, so we're starting at E. I'm just going to use a different color for this. Maybe we'll go with red. Okay, so we're plotting P. So we're starting at E, and then we're going 1 left and then 3 up. Okay, so here's E. We're going 1 left, and then we're going 3 up. So here's 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. So the new coordinates of P are 4, 5. Okay, there we go. The next one, I'm going to change my color to maybe green. Okay, so clamshell gift shop is at point G. Okay, so you move 5 squares left and 4 squares down when we start at H. Okay, so we gotta find H. Here it is, that's our starting point. We're going 5 squares to the left, so we're moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going 4 squares down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here is going to be G. So that means we have ended at 3, 2. So 3, 2. Okay, there we go. That's it. Okay, so that's it for that one. The next one, what you need to do is draw and label a coordinate grid. Okay, plot each of the points. Alrighty. Oh yeah, grid. Oh, look at this. Oh, that is nice. Okay, excellent. Oh, okay, there we go. Good stuff. Okay, so that's cool. Imagine you just had that in your toolkit to whip out. That's so cool. Okay, alrighty. So now what we need to do is I'm going to use my black and I'm going to maybe make it a little bit thicker. Okay, because that was our tip from today. We should use, when we're drawing and labeling a coordinate grid, we should use a black pen and a ruler to be able to, first of all, make our grid. So, oh yeah, we're doing this one, sorry. Okay, so first of all, I need to decide on what scale I'm going to use. Okay, now this is what the tip I gave you is we have to look for the biggest values. So we have 50 and 60. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm usually start a little bit away. I'm going to draw in my axes, okay? And then I'm going to draw mine like this, okay? Always extending in either direction, so we should always draw arrows, okay? The other thing we must do is label the X and label the Y axis, okay? All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to decide upon the scale. Okay, so this is kind of the thinking part. Well, I'm definitely not going to do all the way counting by ones. That would be ridiculous. So I'm going to use my pencil for this. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I skip counted by tens. Let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, that works for the grid that I drew. So I'm going to do that. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. The key thing is you don't want to have it too scrunched and you also don't want to have it too spread out depending upon the size of the paper that you're working with. Then you do not have to follow the same grid along the bottom, but for this unit, it's the best habit to get into. So I'm just going to keep the same scale. Okay, it's not necessary, but I think it's just going to help keep things a little bit easier for us to plot and to see things clearly. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to start with the plotting. Okay, so now I go 10, 40. So I go across 10 and then I go up to 40, which is here, and this would be A. The next one is 10, 0. So I go across 10, but I don't go up at all. So this is B. Next, I go across 20 and then I go up 20. That's an easy one, so it doesn't really matter which one you do first, but we should always go in the hang member of the airplane. Goes on the runway first, then it takes off. Then D is 0. I don't move across at all, but I go up 30. Okay. And then next I go across 50 and then I go across to here and then I go up to 60. So it's going to be way up here, which is E. Okay. So technically, when I'm marking this, I will give a mark for accurately labeling the axes. Okay. I'll give a mark for an appropriate scale. Third thing is always we start, this is always 0. Our origin technically is 0, 0, or we can just say it is 0, okay? So double check that you have not started this at 10. That would be wrong, okay? This has to be 0, both directions. This point here has to be 0. So you always should be skip counting a little bit before you get to the next number. That's a common mistake that I've seen in the past. Okay, so we'd have 1, 2, and then we'd have 3 marks for an appropriate scale. And then we would have another mark. I usually just give 1 mark for correctly plotting all the points. If you kind of like mess up 1, then I take off half a mark. Okay, so yeah, you don't have to mark this really, but that's just kind of like what I would be looking for when you are making these.